big. So when people get awareness and the earlier they seek help, the better. So that's why we see it very important to also create awareness that the help is available and not only.
Hi Anna, thank you so much for taking our time and welcome to the Convergence Play podcast. We are really excited to have you here. I think a great starting point will be knowing a little bit about your professional journey, and looking at your profile seems like that you have worked in more than one areas. Not only you are a founder, but you have also worked as, if I understand correctly, in teaching as well. You have been working in entrepreneurship as well. So walk us through your own professional journey and how you landed on We Encourage. What is the vision and mission behind this organization?
Okay, yes, thank you. Very nice to be here. So thank you for the invitation. My background is actually in retail. So I have been doing my entrepreneurship career with teaching visual merchandising, how to measure the effectiveness of its profitability, rotation, how you increase your sales and so forth, and also e-commerce merchandising, so how to make more sales on e-commerce. And this was something that I was doing since 2011 until 2019 when I established We Encourage. And one of the reasons to start the We Encourage company was that in 2016 I saw a documentary about an Afghan girl who wanted to be a rapper, but in Afghanistan it's not that easy for girls to pursue their dreams, especially nowadays. And the documentary maker ended up buying her free from her own family. Her brother was about to marry a girl and they needed the money to buy the bride for her brother, and pay his wedding. And the documentary maker ended up buying Sonita free with $2,000. And I had just had my baby girl a year before, and to me it was so shocking. Of course I knew about this thing, but it somehow kind of shocked me that how if my girl would have been born in different parts of the world instead of this Scandinavia, Finland, she would have completely different childhood. She would be just a commodity, and somehow that kind of didn't leave me alone. And I learned about the forced marriages, child marriages, and when talking with professionals, realized that it's kind of part of the problem is this domestic violence, which is very common also in Finland. Finland is number one in the statistics, most dangerous country for women in Europe.
So thank you. It's a very powerful story, and I think you're right. One thing really resonates with me as well, that being born in a certain area, you inherit some specific challenges, which of course are not easy to work around. And I really appreciate you setting up this organization with this vision that you are trying to help all those individuals who are going through this situation. And when I was looking around, and the reason we are very passionate to talk to you was it's a very small niche, it's very specific area that you are targeting. It falls under mental health, and of course there is a lot of work being done in mental health space, but there's not a lot of work being done on domestic violence side of things. So I think it is a very important area that you are really working towards, and we want to understand your outreach. Right now you are definitely focused in Finland, but are you also looking to expand to other regions, other countries where this is also a need for a solution like this?
Yes, we actually are currently already available in Finland, as you mentioned, but also in Spain, Germany, France, Reunion Island, and Austria. So we already are covering many European countries. And we are now having a new EU-funded project where we are expanding the knowledge base from domestic violence to human trafficking and sexual exploitation. So then it covers also more on as well the forced marriages and so forth. And when we think about the domestic violence, it goes under the bigger umbrella theme of interpersonal violence, which means that basically it is violence that is perpetrated by someone that you know. So it can happen also at the workplace, it can happen at school, it can be your child towards you, even an adult child sometimes may be abusive towards their parents, it can be a parents towards children and so forth. So what we are aiming now is to start covering more and more topics under the umbrella of interpersonal violence. And during this new project, we are also expanding to new country, Italy, and we are also looking for ways to get collaboration in Portugal. So we are looking for expanding.
That's great. I'm sure this is going to impact positively in all those countries. So walk us through your current application. I think under the umbrella of We Encourage, you have a application that is specifically tailored for this purpose. So if you walk us through what this application is, for the sake of our listeners, where they can access this application, and is there any sign-up process or how to use this application, I think it is going to be very useful.
Yes, so it's quite simple because we have created AinoAid service, which is the name of it. It's basically a website. So the listeners can go to ainoaid.fi, and currently the countries available are what I told, that it's Finland, Germany, Spain, Austria, Reunion. So they choose the language and the country, and then they will enter into the knowledge base, as we call it. So the website contains knowledge that we, with our previous project with these countries, we did the research for users. So we were asking from those who had survived violence that what kind of information they would need, what kind of information they were looking for when they were trying to reason what's happening in their life and wanted to get out of the situation, and what would help. And also we interview professionals, so there is a scientific research backing up. And then the professionals have curated the knowledge-based content. And then on the website, there is also this AI-enabled chatbot that the users can talk with. So you can either just simply read through the topics on the knowledge base and or then chat with the bot. And the bot functions in a way that you can simply just ask questions or explain your situation, your concerns. You can ask lists, you can ask it to provide you ways that how do I speak about this to the professional, or it can be a professional who is looking for support, how can I assist the victim and so forth. So it provides psychosocial support and guidance.
Got it. So, just trying to understand about the knowledge base you mentioned. So, I'm assuming that there will be a general knowledge base which will be which is probably applicable to all the countries you are currently operating in, and there are there any specific topics that are specific to any one region or any one country, or your knowledge base is general data that is basically useful for anyone living in any of these countries where your service is operating?
Yes, so how we approached it is that we have the knowledge base which contains the information for all the countries, but then there are these country specific details. So for example, the legal processes and crime processes, victims' rights and so forth, there are country specific implications then, and those have been taken into consideration. And for that reason, the user has to choose the country that they want to browse their information from, so that they don't end up reading about things about Finland when they are in Germany. So this is how we have done it.
Got it. So, is there also a network of professionals as part of this? For example, if somebody has to reach out to a professional, talk to a professional for any kind of consultancy or any kind of advice, is it also something part of your services or fall under your umbrella that you have also built a network of professionals as well, or it is something that is not being handled by app, or application only recommends the available professionals of any country? So how exactly is that part being dealt at the moment?
Yes, so currently we are actually in the process of building that network. So what we are aiming for is to build a human in the loop. So people who want to just talk with the chatbot or browse through the information in the knowledge base, that would be completely free of charge as it's now. But if they would want to have a conversation also on the chat with the professional, then they could, with the fee, start talking with the professional. And currently we have started to build this network in Finland, and we are aiming to have a professional network not only for the therapists but also for lawyers, social workers, police. But let's see where we end up. But we would really much like to have this ecosystem of different professionals who could provide quick assistance for people. And those who are not willing to talk with a therapist or unable to pay, then there is of course the contact details for these free of charge national hotlines and support places, so we don't leave anyone out.
Yes, absolutely. And this is a great idea because I think uh, integrating AI in chatbots in workflows is great, but I think having a human in loop is going to really provide the right quality of care. So I want to ask you, I'm sure this that the things you are explaining, especially building a network of professionals, it is a very ambitious I would say, roadmap, a very ambitious plan. And in order to accomplish that, I think you will not only need probably a lot of financing, a lot of investment, a lot of financial availability, but at the same time, I think you will need to have a full-fledged probably engineering team as well that will be building and applications for professionals as well, and all those features in those applications like scheduling the calls and maybe maintaining the notes, reminders, and all those sort of things. Is that part of your application ready, or it is still something that is in the envisioning phase, where you are right now with the professional network part of your application?
Yes, so currently we are in the building phase. So now we are mapping out the interested professionals who would be part of the network, and we are also mapping out the ways how we can do the proof of concept for the human in the loop. So considering that we also need to do some testing and see what would be the demand and how many professionals are needed and what type of professionals the users would need and so forth. So as you said, it's not that simple just to do that, but we need to also consider that how and what we can implement into the current system and so forth. So at the moment we are in the planning and ideation phase and also the network building phase.
Got it. Got it. So, sounds great. So, is there also mobile application as well for this, or it's currently on web-based at the moment?
At the moment, it's website, so no application, and I think we will continue with this tactic because many of the victims were telling that it's kind of like a privacy issue as well. So if you download the application, most likely you have to be signed in Apple or in Google, and then it's something that you put on your phone, and there is a risk that the perpetrator might find it on your phone. So we found it to be easier just to take this website approach, because there is no thing that we kind of need that would be give us the benefit to use it as an application, and now it's accessible from any device. So you are not bound to your own phone, but you can actually use any device. You can go even to the library, or you can be at your workplace, or you can use your friend's computer or whatever. So the accessibility is easier like
Right.
this.
Right. And I'm sure it's since it's web, it can be even used from a public network as well, maybe from places where, for example, internet cafes or things like
Yes.
that. So it's very smart, I think, from that perspective, that privacy is definitely key thing in this whole idea. So I want to move a little further in our discussion and want to understand that what are your current approaches about creating the awareness. I am sensing that if there is, in order for this idea to be successful, I think you will need to create a lot of noise and a lot of awareness out there that, yes, first of all, you have to make sure people understand that this is really a problem. You have to speak up, or you have to seek help in this regard. And then there are mediums like yourself available for help. So I think with the digital age, probably there are a lot of need for creating content, awareness content out there, in order to make this thing people aware of this. What are your current approaches, or what you are thinking in terms of creating awareness for this area?
Yes, so our approach is, of course, the normal marketing tactics. So to have the social media visibility and creating awareness there. Also, we are quite actively participating in different types of events, speaking engagements, podcasts like this, and also. Of course, paid marketing, whenever budget is available, is very useful, and we had some good testings with that one. And what we try to kind of move away from the NGOs way, because they are doing a good job with creating awareness about the problem and the size. We try to move the conversation towards the solutions, because that's something that is not so much talked about. That okay, now we have this solution, and based on the research and so forth, we have noticed that when people are told about what might be the problem, when they are being guided towards the support services, when someone asks what's going on in their life, when someone provides them support, many times this is the first step towards the healing journey. And of course, the societal costs are quite big. So when people get awareness, and the earlier they seek help, the better. So that's why we see it very important to also create awareness that the help is available, and not only talk about the problem and so forth. But I said, mainly it is like quite basic marketing tactics. And one thing that has also, of course, been very useful for us is that since the beginning, before we started doing anything, we started reaching out those who had survived these kind of situations, and we were interviewing them, that is it even kind of useful for us to start doing anything like this. And with the help of them, we were able to also create awareness among the survivors. So they have their own kind of bus radio that they are as kind of telling each other that, hey, you can test this one, and they are spreading the awareness.
Got it. Yeah, it's totally makes sense. So how big is your team right now? How many people are working with you on this company at the moment?
Yes, so our core team is me plus three co-founders. We are all shareholders. So my colleague Ulla is taking care of the business and ecosystem development and also helping me with the technology. And then we have Ellie, who is taking care of the marketing and the content. She has the social worker experience and she's also a therapist. And then we have Katja, who is also a therapist, and she's taking also care of the content. So this is the core team, and then we have outsourced external team for the tech development because it's more cost efficient than in-house tech team.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And if you have to look ahead, of course, you mentioned that you are looking to go in other countries, you are looking to strengthen the network. But if you have to, for example, summarize your big picture, your vision for next 2 years or 3 years, that what sort of progress you want to make in next 2 or 3 years, how does that picture look to you right now?
Yes, so in 2 to 3 years, we are aiming to be available with the human in the loop in our current countries and to have enough big network to be able to sustain that. And another thing that we're currently working on is the data analytics tool. So based on the conversations which are anonymized, so we don't know who is asking what, and based on user search, so what articles people are looking, what kind of information they are seeking, based on this information that we could support better the professionals like police, social workers, healthcare sector to understand what are the needs of the users and what are the barriers to seek help, how could we improve the current systems to recognize and identify them better, and these kind of data analytics. So we are aiming to have this also working, and then have these kind of partners to support us and develop it further to understand that how we can actually build the ecosystem that we have this we're like a bridge between the those who are looking for help and those who are providing help, and trying to understand that, okay, what are the barriers, because we have a lot of research knowledge, but then and we have these helping services, but the gaps exist, so we try to be in the middle to kind of shorten the gap, that okay, we know what are the problems, so now we try to be the ones who is providing solution. We're not the silver bullet, but we can be one of those gap closers.
Yeah, it's a very powerful mission that you want to bridge the gap between those who need help and those who are providing help. And of course, using technology is a core medium. So, do you believe that you have everything available in order to reach your vision for next 2 years, or if you believe that there are still some challenges that you need to go through in order to make all this happen?
Well, there is always challenges when it comes to the technology and making things happen with that one. Of course, one of the kind of the risks and also opportunities is that technology is advancing very rapidly. So considering the development speed currently, especially with the AI, it gives opportunities, but also the challenge is that there is so many and rapid advances, and for example, we are using the Microsoft Azure. There might be a certain announcement that, okay, we are retiring this service, so you have to now loop into a next one. And when it comes to training the AI model, it's of course always, if you change the model, then you need to also train and do the prompt engineering and so forth. So these are part of the kind of like the pros and cons. You get more advanced models, but then again you need to also be able to adapt and keep up with the speed. Of course, also as we are self-funded startup, it's always about the how much we have at hand and runway to make things happen. Are we able to keep up with the speed? Do we have enough budget to do this? So we always have to think that, okay, what we would want to do and what we are capable of doing. And these are, of course, some of the kind of like the most common burdens when you are in a startup to kind of balance with.
Right. No, 100% understood. Absolutely, because I think at this particular stage there are a lot of things that startups want to do, but of course they have to consider the financial and operational realities as well. And one thing I want to linger on a little bit is you brought up a very important point that the advancement in technology is always impacting either in positive way, or it is sometimes creating a little bit of disruptions as well. So, do you believe that you have the right, I would say, tech team capabilities in place in order to deal with situation like that? I think, it's all part of doing the contingency planning for for the sake of your users. And of course, as you mentioned, that you have more than one co-founder, which is always a great thing, because in this way you are able to get support from your team on the top leadership level. But do you believe that on tech team level or on engineering level or on the next level, do you have the right contingency or right skill sets in place to help you navigate with these kind of potential challenges?
Currently, our team is very good mix, but moving forward, for example, with the data analytics, of course, we need a partner to help us with that, and we try to utilize as much as possible ready-made solutions that we can then integrate to our systems, and this is something that is almost a must for the startup, that it's bootstrapping, because we just simply don't have the budget to create a data analytics tool from scratch. And but how we see it, we think it's smart, because this is also part of the ecosystem building. When we are using ready-made solutions, our focus is on building our service and utilizing what exists, and then we can also utilize their expertise and so forth. So we try to keep our core business towards that, instead of start building, for example, the data analytics tool and so forth. And of course, it might be in the long run that we notice that, okay, it might be if and when we are big, it might be useful and logical for us to build our own analytics tool. So it's just for the start and for the current situation. But this is also the way how we can acquire and find the skill sets without having the burden of bearing the employee cost, which are very high here in Finland. So if you bring in house, for example, data analytics or data scientists, it's quite big of a.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I really loved our conversation. And I think we covered almost all areas of we encourage. We get to talk about his vision, the product, and where you are heading. So you're working on a great mission. It's a great idea. It's a great product. And I wish you all the best. And we are looking forward to getting your story out there. I think your story should be heard by many. It's very inspiring. And as I was saying, the specific niche in mental health space you are trying to address is very important, and there is not whole lot of AI enabled solutions out there. So I think this you got yourself positioned very well, and I wish you all the best. And thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your insights with us.